I really believe, period, that if you have no mission and no purpose in life, you go nowhere.
When I look at your background, Spencer, you went from this kid who couldn't really pay attention at school, parents were divorced, had financial struggles. You can actually sit here today with all this amazing success around you.
I don't see myself as successful at all. I see myself as a failure.
Still?
Yeah, big time. Success definitely isn't money. And Maria Conceição, who I worked with the children from Bangladesh, she saved 680 children. That's success to me.
But then on that metric, you're successful as well.
I try and help people.
Okay.
I don't like pain. I really struggle with watching people in pain. You go and spend time in a village in Nepal with a community where every child at the age of 8 years old becomes a prostitute, and they have no other option. The needless suffering that people go through really, really deeply affects me. You realize that you can do very small things that we take for granted and make a huge difference to people. That changed every part of my life. Never ever since have I given a hoot about money apart from how it can help them.
10 years ago plus, you also struggled with mental health, even wondering if you still wanted to be on this planet.
I was carrying something so heavy, and suicide felt like it was very light. I planned what I was going to do. It was very simple. Fly back to London, say goodbye to the children. And there were 3 buildings in Chelmsford, and I chose to jump off one of them.
Jesus.
And so I went back home to say goodbye. And my dad's car was on my driveway. He said, go grab a shower. There's a man I want you to meet, a buddy of mine, and introduced me to a psychiatrist, because my dad knew what I was about to do, although I'd not said a word to my dad. A lot of the documentary work and a lot of the work with the children were my cure. When I saw how tough their lives were, I had no reason to be complaining. They've got no idea what they did for me. A lot of the time people, oh, you've been so good to these kids, let me tell you, they saved my life.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is...
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Spencer Lodge, the award-winning entrepreneur, business strategist, and podcast host. You have spent over 3 decades mastering the world of sales and business leadership, and were recognized in the top 100 most influential people in Dubai for your impact on the financial services industry. You've launched multi-million-dollar ventures, coached thousands of salespeople, and played a key role in scaling businesses around the world. You're also the host of Unscripted with Spencer Lodge, one of the most listened to podcasts in the region, with guests like Tony Robbins, Stephen Bartlett, Ant Middleton, Grant Cardone, and most importantly, me. You ultimately believe that mastering sales is the single most important skill for business success, and that without it, even the best ideas will fail. Your mission is to help as many people as possible achieve extraordinary results by changing their mindset, taking responsibility, and embracing discomfort. Spencer, welcome to London Real in Dubai.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. It's really kind of you.
Dude, it's my pleasure. I sat down with you for your show, I think a year ago, and we had an amazing discussion. I find you an incredible host. You're really intense, and we were really having a meeting of the minds. I think we could have gone on for another hour or two. So really enjoyed that. I've gotten to know you, and now I want to go deeper today. Lots to talk about, but I wanted to jump in maybe right on that top line part about sales. I don't think I've ever had this discussion where sales is the most important thing. And I'm curious why you say that. I'd say today, sales is still a bit of a dirty word. If you tell your mom you're a salesperson, then she's like, oh, why aren't you a doctor or a lawyer? When in fact, salespeople are usually some of the most highly paid people in the organization. They make things happen. And if you're an entrepreneur, you know you're dead without them. And I'm curious, why do you say that? And why do so many people still not really recognize that?
People like the word entrepreneur. They like the word business owner, founder, okay? These kind of cool words that are associated with starting a business. But anyone that starts a business, the first thing they've got to work out is how they're going to find clients. It doesn't matter what the job role is. If you're the CEO of a company or the managing director and these fancy titles, it's like, you're a salesman. Now, you might be selling different things in different ways to maybe the guys that are on the bottom rung of sales in the business, but you're still a salesperson. So how did it get to be dirty? And for me, I look at salespeople as the backbone of a business. You see the administration and the operational and different functions in a business looking down their nose at salespeople. Well, let's see how your salary gets paid if there's no sales. You know, because if you think about it, the company doesn't make any sales, you don't have a job. So should we maybe respect these guys a little bit more? And then let's add to that the psychological highs and lows on a daily basis that they have to deal with. 1 minute on fire in the car, giving it yes, and the next minute getting a no. Ugh. And that feeling that goes with that, they have to deal with. Those people that work in other functions in a business get their salary. They get their medical insurance. They get everything delivered for them. Okay, they've got to achieve KPIs, but if they have a bad month, do they still get paid? Hell yeah. Salespeople don't. So I think they should be respected for bringing the revenue into the business, and I think they should be respected for the highs and lows they go through. And actually, we should champion them, because these are the guys, as you say, that are making it happen.
Yeah. How do people become good at sales? Because when I look at your background and I want to go into it, I don't see the making of a salesman as you grew up as a young kid. So how did you get good at it? And how can you recognize a good salesperson? And what makes a good salesperson?
So this is a really interesting question, so thank you for asking it, because I believe that sales is a skill just like law or accountancy or anything else. It's a skill that you need to learn. A lot of people have got into sales by accident. You know, they couldn't get the job that they really wanted, so they go into some business development function in a business and they have to learn to be a salesperson. Or their grandmother says, well, you've got the gift of the gab, so you should be a salesperson. To me, it's not. Being a great salesperson is learning the skills, number one, and number two, understanding that selling isn't talking. Selling is listening. And so you have to be a really good listener. And there are lots of people out there that don't listen very well, but great salespeople do.
You need to really understand what's making your client tick and what's important to them. Whereas a lot of people think, I just got to pound you until you say yes. But you want to listen to them, see if you can solve their problem, but more importantly, reiterate back to them what they want and create that relationship or understanding. Is that what a salesperson does?
Imagine us changing the title of salesperson to chief problem solver. So that's their job title, chief problem solver in a business. They'd probably get a lot more respect. But that's all we're doing with everybody we meet. Yes, at the end of the day, we're trying to create revenue for our business and we're trying to match what we have as a product or a service with the need of that person. Right. So a great salesperson is just trying to identify the person that has the need, understand their need in great detail and see if they can bring a solution to that problem. Then you're respected. Okay, then the transaction is done in a really structured, professional and respectful way and everybody wins.
It's like a customized solution, and oftentimes your client values things that in your opinion aren't valuable to you or aren't expensive for you, and you can deliver those. And sometimes the things you think they'll value the most aren't valuable to them. And the only way you know that is by listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Being great at asking questions. And I think that's why I enjoy podcasts.
Okay.
Because I like to learn. I'm naturally very curious about people, and I'm no different if I'm in a selling situation.
Right.
I want to learn about somebody. I want to understand what makes them tick. I want to understand what their challenges are, and I want to understand, is there something that I can bring to the table that could solve that problem in some way? Now, sometimes, personally, my mind runs away with me. So as I'm listening, my mind's coming up with solutions all the time. But maybe because I've been doing it for a long time, that's why it's like that.
What's the biggest mistake most people make in sales, whether they're just beginning or even seasoned people?
Respecting themselves is a really important one. And the second one is understanding that it's a skill and you have to invest time in learning and getting educated rather than thinking you're just going to wing it.
Okay. What do you mean by respecting yourself?
Well, salespeople can very easily disrespect themselves. They can, because they get lots of rejection.
Okay.
So when you start off in sales, I mean, my boss told me on my first day in sales, I swear this is the absolute truth of what happened.
Is this door-to-door selling furniture?
No, it wasn't for office equipment.
Office equipment, right. Okay.
And I literally
In the
had to
city.
make 100 cold calls. And he said, get me 100 no's. Then make 100 door knocks and then 100 cold calls the next day. Get me 100 no's. So I'm a kid. But what he was doing, he was teaching me that no is good. You're going to get a lot of it anyway. So learn to accept that there's nothing bad about it. And at that stage in my career, as young as I was, as moldable as I was learning one of the most important skills within the sales industry, which a lot of people don't learn.
Get used to no.
Yeah.
And bring them in. You just got to line them up, knock them out. If you get 100 no's, then you've done the correct thing that day.
My boss said to me when I got into financial services at 23, he said to me, you're 23 years old. What self-respecting 50-year-old man is ever going to trust his money to you? And I was like, oh, yeah. He said, you have to know more than anybody else because you don't have life experience on your side. So be a whiz. Understand everything there is to know about sales, understand everything there is to know about this industry, put them together, and you'll be able to show with your expertise that you can bring value. And that was really important to me to understand. And he was right. Who's going to trust a kid with their money? So I think that in sales, it's really important that we don't go into sales and just kind of fumble our way through. It's never going to work. It's like crypto. How do you ever get anywhere with investing in crypto unless you take some time to learn about it, study it, go to classes, get people to teach you how it all works, then invest in it. Now, if I said that to anyone, they'd say, well, that's exactly what you should do. But when it comes to sales, it's I'm a good communicator. I can knock on doors or I can make calls. Yeah, but why make 100 bad calls when you could make 100 good calls?
Do you think we'll ever have degrees at universities in sales? Why don't we? I mean, my daughter right now, she's studying philosophy and a bunch of other things. If she said there was a sales degree, I'd be like, you're all over that. That degree would be worth 10x anything else because she could get out and be ready to do almost anything, go anywhere. Imagine 4 years, Spencer.
Yeah.
The details, a class on cold calling, a class on mindset and rejection, a class on each one of these things.
A semester on
Right?
cold calling. Imagine that.
You'd be a master bulletproof.
Absolutely.
Role plays,
Yeah.
internships.
Yeah.
Telling you, Harvard's missing a beat.
But why don't they do that? I'm always baffled by this. I'm really baffled by this because they'll do marketing degrees.
Right.
Okay, degree in marketing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, marketing and sales are partners. They're friends. They're enemies sometimes in business, but the reality is they're friends.
You're right.
It's push selling and pull selling. It's marketing's pull selling, sales is push selling. It's like, there should be a degree in that.
Yeah. It just has this weird connotation, this weird, thought process around it.
It's icky, isn't it?
It's icky, even though like some of the highest paid people in the world are great salesmen. And every great entrepreneur is by definition a great salesperson. Elon Musk's and the Tim Cooks and all these people, look at them, they're selling all the time. They're now building personal brands on the back of it. But who's front and center selling the new iPhone? It's Tim Cook walking around the Apple campus. It's crazy, now people really understand. And when I got into this business I'm in now, I had to be the front and center salesperson. And I didn't mind it. I was ready. But if you're not ready as an entrepreneur and you think you're going to outsource it, forget about it, right?
Yeah, no chance. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you might need to raise some money. You've got to sell.
Yeah.
You might need to persuade people to come and join your startup with no big salaries. Yeah. You've got to sell. So it's in all parts of our lives. And Mark Cuban says, if there's one skill you have to learn, the first skill must be sales. Everything comes after that.
Do you find that you can continue learning? Like I sometimes get these reels popping up on Instagram and these people saying like, here's 3 things about sales. And I watch it and I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. You know, I'm just constantly getting some knowledge. And Chris Voss, he's that famous FBI negotiator, and he always says, get them to say no, don't get them to say yes. And I don't know if I completely agree with that, but I'm playing with it and trying it. And I don't know, I'm constantly getting new ideas on sales.
Well, sales is about systems and processes.
Okay.
You know, greatest salespeople have systems and processes they follow. So if I look at my success when I was actually selling, I had a system that I followed. Okay, I was a guy that had three options. I could cold call, I could network, or I could get referrals. Well, I didn't want to cold call. Nobody does. Networking, I'm the guy in a networking event in the corner looking at my phone going, why am I here? Why am I here? Yeah,
Even you?
I don't like going into a room of strangers.
Cold, okay.
If I go in and I'm coming to see you and you introduce me to 3 people, that's fine.
Okay.
But if I don't know anyone, that's
What if they know you because of the show and stuff?
Even someone said it. I was hiking the other day. I was coming down the mountain. This lady went, "You're famous," and I'm like, "Am I?"
That's amazing.
And I was just immediately, I just felt uncomfortable.
It's a weird feeling.
She said that. But I think that as salespeople, understanding your systems and the processes you follow is important. So for me, it was referrals.
Okay.
Now I wasn't the best salesperson, but I was the best person at getting referrals on the planet. Nobody in my industry could come close to me, but because I obsessed about it. And I listened to every video. You know, back then it was the cassette tapes and the CDs, whether it was Tony, Zig Ziglar, whoever it was, Jim Rohn and stuff like that. Nowadays there's many more. And there is some really good content out there. There's an Italian guy in the UK that wears really bright yellow suits, and he's a cold calling expert. And his cold calls are brilliant, and he literally does them, and you can hear the person speaking at the other end. And I learn something from him every day. Wow. He cold calls people. He says to them, if I told you this was a cold call, would you pick your phone up and throw it out the window? Nice. And I love lines like that. There's great starts. If I told you this was a cold call, would you forgive me? And so I think that when you've got people like that are giving some value in some way, learn, try it. It might work for you, it might not, but definitely listen.
But it's really a process. It's not about a fancy trick or a one-liner. It's really about a system.
Yeah.
And that is, you're doing tons of outbounds, you're following up with people, you're doing all these things that ultimately get the result, just like an engineer would or just like a designer would.
Exactly.
And that's the way you should look at it, as like a skill, not some magic ability, not something to do when you're inspired like an artist. You just got to grind and put in the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Our mutual friend Grant Cardone, I remember once said something, it just came into my mind. He said, sell standing up, close sitting down. And I think what he meant by that is the emotion and the excitement is done standing up. Maybe that's when you're on the phone and you're standing up. Or maybe you're with them, and then when you close, you're sitting down, which means, okay, now I'm going to go through all of the details and get them to sign and make sure they know everything, to where when it's closed, they're happy, they don't come back later saying, I didn't know that. Do you agree with that? Do you ever think about that? Okay.
So let's say we were doing some training right now and we had 10 people in a room and we decided to do some role plays. Is it going to be better if they stood up to do role plays or sit down? It's always going to be better if they're standing up. Okay, there's more energy, the esophagus is open, we're breathing better. So I believe you should stand up when you make every call. They say smile when you dial. It has purpose behind it. Smile, be in a positive mindset when you dial. Nobody wants to answer the phone to someone going, hello. You know, they want someone positive on the phone. When whatever it is for you, and I don't believe it's a numbers game, sales. Okay, I don't believe, like a lot of people do, it's a numbers game. I believe it's the right numbers game. So for example, you can make 100 cold calls or you can call 10 referrals. What would you rather do? I'd rather call the 10 referrals all day long. Right. I've probably got a better chance of converting 10 referrals than I have 100 cold calls. Well, 10 referrals might take me half an hour. 100 cold calls might take me half a day. So for me, I don't believe the numbers game should be like that.
Okay.
So I see it a bit different, but I've got a lot of benefit from spending time with Grant as well. And what does he bring to the table? A system. If you go and do his course, there's a system, there's processes, and there's high energy.
Right.
And that's the ingredients we need.
I remember one of his processes, I think, was the follow-up. He's like, so many people, just salespeople, they miss the follow-up. They don't do the follow-up, and the follow-up after that, and the follow-up after that. Maybe because that's a little more grunty, and maybe you don't have the adrenaline spikes with the initial outreach. But that's the system, right?
How do you get out of a rat race? How do you create wealth not only for yourself, but also for the generations to come after?
I am absolutely amazed with the quality of companies that we're getting exposure to.
We go on to Zoom calls with the innovators and the folks who are building new applications in metaverse, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me.
We are focusing on early stage investment.
And the quality of people that we're getting exposure to, whether it be Dan Tapiero with 1RT, Jason Ma from Open, Yatsu from Animoca.
It's been a phenomenal experience thus far. It has far exceeded my expectations.
We are focusing on cutting edge technologies.
I view it now as the best investment I've ever made. The upside I view is unlimited. And
as a retail investor, I would never get this exposure anywhere else outside of Investment Club.
See you in the Investment Club.
The other thing is we forget that if you speak to 100 people, there might be people in there that it's not the right time.
Yeah.
They might have just had an argument with their wife.
Yeah.
They might have just had a bit of road rage in the traffic, you know. They might have come out of a busy meeting. They might have a busy day. It might not be the right time now. That doesn't mean they don't like you. It just might not be the right time. So why would you not go back to them again? Maybe the next time is a right time. And people will always put you off by saying, call me back in 3 months, okay? Or call me back next month. It's like, no, can I call you back tomorrow? You know, if we're going to do something, I'm going to demonstrate some value to you. So let me demonstrate that value, and then you can decide whether I'm of value to you.
Okay. And if people are intrigued by this, what do you think is the best way for people to learn how to sell?
The first thing I would do is I'd go online and I'd look, because different people appeal to different types. You know, there are some great sales trainers out there. Grant's a great one. You know, Chris Voss has his approach, but there's many out there. But go and say to yourself, this is a skill. I'm going to learn this skill, and I'm going to find someone whose personality and approach I like, so that I can learn the skill from them.
Okay.
And then always be a student.
Okay. Love that. All right. Love that. I want to talk about your background, because I can't even believe you're here based on your background. There's nothing in your early days that would imply that you would be as successful as you are today, in my opinion. And I want to go into that. But first of all, I know you as like the king of Dubai. Well, not the king of Dubai, but one of the most plugged in guys, an OG here, who's been here for a long time and seen the whole thing grow. Can you tell me about your experiences in Dubai? How long have you been here? Why did you stay here? And like what you've seen over this past decade plus.
Imagine you go and work for a company where the boss that you work for is really ambitious, and he really wants to be successful, and he really wants to take you with him. Now plant that into a city. Bear in mind, I've lived in 9 countries before I came here. So I've been around the world, South America, Far East, Africa, Europe. I've been all over Eastern Europe. So I've got a fair understanding of what people are like around the world. And then I come here to this city, and I remember what happened, and people won't necessarily know all of the UAE, but I landed at the airport and I had a meeting in a place called Al Ain. Now Al Ain is a town about an hour and a half from Dubai. So I arrive at 2 o'clock in the morning, I jump in a taxi, and I give them, the taxi driver, the Hilton Hotel Al Ain. And he's like, Al Ain? And I'm like, that's what it says. He went, Al Ain? I'm like, yeah. So we drove through the night and we got to this hotel. I wake up the next morning, open my curtains, okay, there's mountains. I'm like, are we in the right country? I thought this was desert. Anyway, the guy I was meeting met me, we had the meeting, and he drove me to Abu Dhabi, and it was very Arabic, you know, it's very a big part of Arabia. Lots of sand, lots of desert, lots of kind of old buildings, nothing too swanky and sexy. And then later on in the day, about 5 o'clock, we drove to Dubai from Abu Dhabi. And as we're coming towards Dubai, I could see these lights and these stuff going on in the distance. I'm like, oh, that's Dubai. And so we're driving up this highway, and so I said to the guy, I said, is that Dubai? He went, no. I said, what's that? He said, oh, that's Dubai Marina. That's a project they've just started. I'm like, that is a marina. It's the biggest marina project ever built in the world, and this is the first part of Dubai that I saw, and I'm like, holy macaroni.
What year is this?
This is 2005.
5, okay, 20 years ago.
The marina had 6 towers that had just been finished. The rest of it was nothing.
And they had dug out the
water was there. The water was there.
Just 6 towers.
But not both ends, only one end. So you couldn't go all the way through and loop around.
Wow.
So that place that I know you at, that was all blocked off at the beginning.
Okay. And the Palm was?
Palm was built, but there weren't houses. There were a few houses on it.
Okay.
So they were just started. So they were just selling them off plan when I was there, and then people were moving into the first houses. And then people were saying, yeah, you can buy a house for £500,000 on the Palm Jumeirah. And I'm like, who the hell would want to live on a man-made island? You've got to be nuts. But I also said that about the marina. I'm like, who the hell would want to live in the marina? And this, and like, who the hell would want to live in JBR? You know, all of this stuff. It's like, why would they want to do that? But you could just see that there was real ambition. And what I learned very early on is that we don't have politics here. So in England, what do we meet? We meet, how's the weather? How's the traffic? How's public transport? Politics, religion, normal conversations in the UK. We don't have politics here. And that was really refreshing. We don't have weather either, because it's either hot or mega hot. So hot is all it is. So I'm in a country where you can see there's ambition. You can see there's lots of stuff being done. Across the road from my office at the time, they were just about to build the Burj Khalifa. And so it was a big construction site of which nothing came out the ground at first, because all the foundations and the underground car parks were being put in. But then slowly this building came out of the ground, and every week another floor went up, and it was literally outside of my office window. And I'm like, wow. And this huge shopping centre, I'm like, wow. And they're like, this is going to be a whole city, a whole district. This is downtown. And I'm like, I knew it as the desert. I was running around with a football out in the desert before. So I saw this going on, and I could see that there's a lot about this place that was cool. And another thing that was really interesting is every time my mum and dad came to visit, my dad's an architect. Every time mum and dad came to visit, my dad was like, oh, look at that building. Oh, look at that. He was spotting stuff he hadn't seen 3 months before, and he couldn't believe how quickly they were constructing it. And so that gave me a good understanding of what was going here and the ambition. And one of the greatest marketing statements I saw, they were building the World Islands. And as they were building, there was a billboard on the Sheikh Zayed Road, and it said, Dubai puts the world on the map.
Phew, nice.
And I was just, that is so cool.
Nice. Very well said.
Yeah.
Did anything make you want to hesitate coming here? Or were you just kind of like, I like the energy, I want to be here?
So a lot of people, when they live overseas for the first time, they've got a transition that culturally is a big shock for them and everything else. I came here after living in different countries, and so it was another place to come.
Okay.
It was once I got here that I saw the opportunity and the amount of people that were moving here. Tourism wasn't big then, so everyone that was coming here was an expat to work, and the numbers were just colossal. They were growing all of the time.
Even back then?
Yeah. But I also was here in 2008 when it fell apart.
Okay.
So I saw all of that. You know, the city emptied. No, we have traffic here now. Well, we had traffic like that then. But then it stopped. Everyone left. And so literally the motorway, the Sheikh Zayed Road, was empty. And so it was really interesting to watch it all happen.
So financial crisis happened, and then they stopped basically doing real estate and building here, just because everything was hurting, not a lot of money out there. Correct. And it just stopped and slowed down.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it came back.
It came back, that's right.
Okay. And how different is now compared to 20 years ago, you know?
So there's some downsides with growth, so we have to be honest about that. And so for me, 20 years ago, wherever I went, to a bar, to a restaurant, to a social club, wherever that may be, a sports event, you'd bump into people you know, everywhere you went. Okay. And that was really nice. It felt like you belonged to part of a community, a wider community than just your area. Now with so many people here, we're seeing these geographical areas separated, and the traffic's bad, so people maybe on the Palm or the Marina don't want to go far. You know, no one wants to go to the DIFC of an evening because the traffic's bad. So that's one problem. But the other problem, and I'm saying this as a complainer, but I shouldn't complain, is the amount of tourists that come here. We didn't have that back then. And so I don't know who's an expat and who's a tourist. All those years ago, I knew you were working here.
Okay.
Whatever your job was, you were working here. And we were similar because of that, both living away from our homes, in another country, building the future for ourselves and our families. And so it's very easy to connect.
Okay. And now a lot of that is tourists, and they're only here for the weekend or the week.
Correct.
And it feels like more they're tourists as opposed to people that have decided to live here.
Yeah, you don't necessarily make the effort to get to know people in the way you would have done before.
Okay. You know, I came here, I think in 2007, just to check it out. I was working in the city. I brought my girlfriend at the time. I stayed at the One and Only, I remember. And I'll be honest, I didn't get it. I was like, because usually when I went to places, I wanted to see the local culture. It was harder for me to find it here. I saw a lot of nice things, but I was working in the city of London, so I'd been to nice restaurants. And I just didn't really understand the vision. I was only here for 3 days. And I left thinking, it's okay, but I don't really get the vibe. And then I came back in 21 or 22, and I was totally sold. You know, it had grown so much, and the diversity of the expats were here, and it was this amazing community. And like, I was at an event last night, I guess it's a networking event, but and I was walking out and I met these two girls that are in London, and I said, you know, this is an incredible place. They're like, this is amazing. And we were like, the girls said, if we were in London, we wouldn't have even talked to you. We wouldn't have exchanged numbers, and we wouldn't be talking about the future. And I'm like, is that true? We wouldn't have even talked to each other. No, we wouldn't have. We would have just, you know, kind of looked at each other and kept on going our way. We wouldn't have wanted to help each other. So you got the same three people. You move them to a vibration like Dubai, and now we're like, hey, how are you? How can I help? Explain that, Spencer. Explain the magic that happens here.
It's very easy to explain, actually.
Okay.
If you live in London and your family are from the local area, your mum, your dad, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, you have a whole infrastructure around you. Your life isn't around people you work with always. You might go out on a Friday night for a couple of beers after work in London, but the rest of your time you're with your family and your friends from school and people that you've built over the years. Here, you arrive with none of that. And it's lonely, okay? There's no one that you know. Now, you might have a friend of a friend that knows somebody that lives in Dubai, or someone, you know, there can be connections, and you reach out and you feel awkward because, you know, can we have a coffee? I'd like to pick your brain. But everybody that lives here in Dubai was in exactly that position the day they arrived. Now, some people a little bit better than others, but it's still lonely. And because of that, that energy has come from everyone going, I was in your shoes once too. I'm new too. Can we try and help each other? Whereas in London, well, we're busy new. You know, I lived in Amsterdam. The reason I moved to Amsterdam is that as a kid, my dad was with Shell. And so I knew lots of international Dutch people, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, Dutch people are great. But I went to Amsterdam, I didn't get invited to anyone's home in 4 years in Amsterdam. And I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah. Same with me in London.
Maybe that was me.
Yeah.
But the people don't invite you, they don't include you because they already have a sufficient network. They don't need new people, but we need people here.
Right.
Because people help us breathe. And I think that's important.
And everyone's doing business here.
Yep.
And it moves fast, and it moves almost 24/7. And
it does move 24/7.
Yeah, and more so than I think any European city. Maybe you'd say it moves like New York City, but I might argue it moves faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm out, I mean, one night in Dubai, I can make more amazing connections than I could in 30 days in London. Things that go somewhere, things that like 2 days later, things are happening and calls, and it's just hard to explain to people, you know, how this place just wants everyone to win.
Imagine just living in a house of optimistic people. Just imagine that. You're like, no cynicism, no realism, just optimism, okay, and ambition. And there's a whole house full of those types of people. It's going to rub off on you. It's going to impact you positively. It's going to make you work an extra hour. It's going to make you push yourself a bit harder. Well, then imagine a city full of that. Everyone's optimistic.
Yeah.
And if you're not optimistic, you leave very quickly, which is great. Go.
Yeah. I always tell people, like, if I go to, you know, Old Street where I'm based in London, and I walk around and I look at all the people going by, most of those people don't really want to be there. Mm-hmm. They're phoning in, they're collecting a check from somebody, the government or a business, and they're kind of trudging through life, and you get this vibe. And the place is kind of broken. It's kind of not going anywhere infrastructure-wise, and you get this feeling. When I come to Dubai, everybody is here intentionally, because this is a place where they're going to build a better life for themselves. Whether you're a cabbie or the girl from Cameroon that gives you my coffee at Starbucks, or you, or all these people, they've intentionally come here because they want to make their life better and they want to change their circumstances. And that energy alone, for me, just makes the whole place vibrate at this really high level.
Okay, so here's a great way of understanding it. In London, those people, you can't say to them, if you don't like it, leave. Because there's nowhere to go.
Right.
That's where they're from. if you don't like it, leave. But in Dubai, if you don't like it, leave. Get on a plane and go.
And if you can't make it, you're gonna go.
You'd have to go.
You have to go.
You've got no choice.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't camp out on the street. You can't get benefits.
Nope.
So you have to hustle and make it happen. Right. There's that famous quote, I think, where the sheikh said, when you wake up in Dubai, you run. Whether you're the lion going after your prey, you run. Whether you're, the impala, you run. Everybody wakes up and runs.
Yeah. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Brilliant.
This is, I'm going to tell you this after living in 10 cities, okay? This is the best city in the world, bar none. I'm not a local, I'm not paid to say that, okay? I don't have any upside for saying that. Seriously, if you want to live somewhere and enjoy the experience and be in an environment where you can succeed and grow and be around other people, there is no better place on the planet right now than this place. And I've been here 20 years, so I've seen it all. I'm not the guy that's been here for 12 months. There isn't a better place than this, period.
I can't believe you could say that with that much excitement after being here for 21 years.
Think about it.
People can't say that about a marriage or their company or anything after 21 years, even after 10 years, but you're saying that. If you follow you on social, on Instagram, it looks like you're paid by the Ministry of Tourism. It is, and a lot of people are like that here. I follow their feeds and they're like, let me tell you again why this is the greatest place, and it's just on and on. I think I do the same thing on my stories.
But what's this whole woke thing that happened in the rest of the world? That didn't exist here.
Amazing, right?
I mean, what did the rulers of this country do? They just rolled their eyes and went, whatever. Okay, they dealt with COVID in a way that the rest of the developed world, the rich developed world, didn't know how to. Whether that's Australia, the UK, Europe, okay, literally it dealt with very quickly and handled very well. Okay, you used to think about a country that's 50 years old or 51 years old. Imagine what in the UK you do in 50 years, and you compare that to what they've done here. Are there parts that don't work properly? Yeah, of course. Is the legal system perfect yet? No. Okay, but they're working hard all of the time. So you've got this city that's equally in the race to succeed, just as every entrepreneur is. They want to be the best. They want to bring this, and so you're in this place where it's literally, come on, let's go together. And so you get sucked into that positivity, and there's no reason for anyone that works hard to fail.
Right. So much abundance here. There's so much success just waiting to happen for people.
Yeah.
Just curious, when you think about the future of the city, is it just going to keep growing and growing and growing? And they have ambitions of being the best city in the world, the #1 place in tourism. They just want to keep going.
What can we compare it to? Maybe Singapore. If you look at Singapore, they're essentially a very small landmass. You look at the UAE, 84% of this country is Abu Dhabi. The other 6 Emirates cover the rest of it. But if you go up in a helicopter and look down at this city, there's not much of it that's developed.
Yeah.
The country's actually not very developed. We might think it is because we see all these towers everywhere and whatnot, but there's a thin strip of the sand from the coast in a couple of kilometres that's developed. The rest is desert. So geographically, we're in a great location. Okay, we've got phenomenal airports, which means we can move around, and so can logistics move around very easily. We've got favourable tax benefits of working here. Is it going to grow? What would stop it growing? And the great thing is, all of the people that are here are comparing it to there, and they've got reasons not to be there. Whether that be Indians, Pakistanis, British, French, Americans, Australians, South Africans. Why would a South African come here? No tax and it's safe. Okay, there you go, 2 things. My house won't get robbed, my car won't get stolen, I won't get carjacked, and I can earn more money tax-free. It's like, there's not much to think about, is there? In the UK, what have I got to deal with? Bad weather, government making bad decisions, high taxes, terrible medical services or health services, roadworks that seem to go on forever and never end. And it's like, oh yeah, but UK's great. Tell me about with crime as well. You can't wear your watch, whatever watch you're wearing, you can't wear that. You can't walk around. My wife was at the Bulgari Hotel in London recently. She went outside to take some photos with her phone, and the doorman said, put your phone in your pocket. She was outside the hotel. It's like, give me a reason to go back. Give me a reason to live in London. Now, in terms of success and becoming successful, I don't believe Dubai is any better than anywhere else if you want to be successful. So it's really important that I share that, because I believe if you've got it in you and you want to be successful, I think you can do it anywhere. Now, if you and I went with the right attitude and we went to Buenos Aires, Argentina, and we said, we're going to make it here, and we wrote a plan and we executed it, we would make it. So I don't think it's that these places don't have the opportunity. I just think that people think it's easier here.
Is it easier here?
I'm not sure it is.
Okay.
I'm not sure for anyone that isn't prepared to work really hard, sacrifice a lot of their personal time. Okay, all of those types of people. I'm not sure if you're not prepared to do that kind of stuff, you won't make it anywhere. And here's not going to be cushioning.
Okay. One thing I find really refreshing, Spencer, is
what the London Real Investment Club actually does for you. It gives you the keys to open that door to the inside deals. In the last 3 weeks, I've participated in 3 incredible deals: a layer 2 Bitcoin protocol, an incredible AI protocol. The deal flow is beyond what I expected. I don't think I've ever seen a model like this that just gives average folks the opportunity to be behind the deals, and that's exactly what we've done. Not only that, you get to hang out with Brian Rose every week, and for me, that was huge, because I look at Brian as somebody who's not only an expert in the space, and I think is on the leading edge, but just the leading edge of thought with London Real and the work he's doing there. To anyone who's taking a serious look at this, I know it's a big decision. It was a big decision for me and my family, and it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I wish you all the best, and hope you come join us.
the lack of politics, you know? I just turned it off when I left London at the end of December, and I will refuse to log into any of the news sites. And it's just nice to stop the bickering and the drama and the headlines and the did you hear what he said and did you see what the stupid thing she did? And it's just like, it's become such a huge part of our lives in the last 20, 30 years. Politics, which used to be something when I was a kid, you'd think about every 4 years or every once in a while. Now it's literally replaced entertainment. And it's just so low energy that I find it really nice not to be surrounded by that here. And I think I was talking to Dr. Marwan, who's an Emirati here, an amazing guy, and he just said, yeah, we try to dial all that down so you can focus on your business and your family and the stuff that matters. And it's really noticeable, you know.
But there aren't any politics. You don't make any decisions. You don't get involved in it. And think about every time a country allows other people to be involved in decisions. It never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
You know. Now, okay, if the rulers were megalomaniacs and causing great problems, then that's a different scenario. But you've got a group of leaders in this country here that make the decisions, they move very quickly, and they're doing what's in the best interest of their people, and indirectly that becomes in our best interest too.
Yeah, very much so. All right, I want to talk about how you made yourself into this person, and then I want to talk about your show as well. But when I look at your background, Spencer, like, you could easily, not be where you are right now, and yet you are here. And I'm just wondering how you went from this kid, who couldn't really pay attention at school, parents were divorced, had financial struggles, you're bouncing all around to different places, and you can actually sit here today, with an incredible business, an incredible podcast, and all this amazing success around you. If your teachers had told you the least likely to succeed, I feel like you would have been up there in your grade. And I feel like if you ever went back to your reunion of your high school or whatever, you'd be looking around at a bunch of people and they'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe he made it. When I read your backstory, I get that. Am I off there?
I think when other people see you and interpret what happened, I think they see it differently to how you do. I mean, Mum and Dad getting divorced when I was 7, is that highly unusual? Probably not.
Same with me, by the way.
There you go. Dad going bankrupt, I see that as his badge of honor because he lost his business and he started and built again. I had a mum that worked really hard, even though she had the kids to bring up. She had 2 jobs, and by osmosis, I was learning about that. But I couldn't get the school thing, and I was bullied quite a lot because I wasn't very intelligent, or appeared to be very intelligent at school. And so I didn't really fit in at school. I didn't know if I was a loner or not. I seemed to try and use humor to get myself out of trouble as much as I could. But But I don't, and I think everyone needs to have this moment where they realise what they're fit for. And I think when I got into sales, I realised that I belonged somewhere. Before then, I didn't belong anywhere. But I don't really think my childhood was, because I've worked with kids that have been through awful situations.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.